Becoming full circle.
Got original Skywalker, then we got Skywalker Jr. That boy ain't no joke. Offensive player of the year. Come on now, first team all league. Looking like his dad.
Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You think Bill Gates is building an underground bunker for nothing? You think Mark Zuckerberg is building an underground tunnel for nothing? Well, he's gonna need one because the next time he suspend my Instagram account. Shut up! Shut up!
Dr. Umar is a doctor of clinical psychology and certified school of psychologist who is considered an expert on the education and mental health of African and African American children. Emphasis on that K in African, okay? Dr. Umar is an educational diagnostician who specializes in special education issues. He is known most for his work in identifying misdiagnosed learning disabled and ADHD students. He is widely regarded as the most influential African-American certified school psychologist in American history. Likewise, he is arguably the most influential Pan-Africanist of the 21st century. Dr. Umar has appeared on The Breakfast Club, Hot Soul, Ann's Class, Ricky Smiley Show, Bear Smith Show, News One, and the list goes on and on. He is the only scholar in the Breakfast Club history to garner 1 million views for his interview in less than 24 hours. Few, if any, of other African-American scholars have intense international following and global support. Dr. Umar is one of the most requested speakers in the world, and he's been inspired to speak on every continent except Australia. He is a universal household name when it comes to politics, education, mental health, and Pan-Africanism. Dr. Umar is currently putting the finishing touches on the renovation efforts at the Honorable Marcus Garvey Rehabilitation School of the FDMD Academy, America's first independent school financed exclusively by the African diaspora. Y'all give it up for Dr. Umar Johnson.
California, make some noise one time, black people. Make some noise, make some noise. Yes. Glad to be here, glad to be here. Glad to be here. First time in Antioch, but it won't be my last. Go ahead and take your seats, brothers and sisters. Evaluating and classifying learning disabilities. Yesterday, I spent some time with our good brothers and sisters up in Sacramento. And I learned in Sacramento that they are actually the black boy suspension capital of the state of California. Oh, wow. Black boys are suspended and expelled out of school in Sacramento more than any other district in your state, and they are top 10 in the entire country. Well, guess what, Antioch? You're not too far behind Sacramento. You may not be the suspension capital, but I think you're looking for runner-up status. Because I saw that whereas black children in Antioch are only 26% of the student population, they're 59% of the students expelled. Excuse me, suspended. 26% of the student population, 59% of the students suspended. That means our children in Antioch public schools are suspended more than twice the percentage of their representation in the student body. And it gets worse than that, because whereas the suspension rate is 59% for black children are 69% of the expulsion rate. And when we come over to special education, black children in Antioch public schools are suspended from school 12 times as often as any other learner in Antioch. That's insane. But I'm going to blame you all for not being organized to fight for change in your school system. I can tell you right now, one thing we're going to have to do in Antioch, Sacramento as well, is the parents of those children who are routinely suspended and expelled need to come together.
Yes, yes.
And Dr. Umar will help. And we're going to draft a letter to the United States Department of Education, Office of Civil Rights.
Yes, yes.
I don't know if y'all know this, but the Civil Rights Division has an office within the U.S. Department of Education. Now, although education is a state right and not a federal right, the U.S. Constitution gives nobody's child a right to learn in America. I need y'all to understand this.
Go ahead. All right.
Because when we talk about public school eradication in predominantly black areas, you need to know how they're able to do that, because the framers of the U.S. Constitution never mentioned the word education in the document.
All right, come on now.
You have a California right to get an education.
Yes.
You have a Nevada state right, a Pennsylvania right to get an education. You have no federal right to learn.
All right.
However, the 14th Amendment of the Constitution guarantees what? Equal protection under the law.
Yes.
So if California says every child has a right to learn, even though it's not a federal right, the feds have to make sure that California is fair and impartial in providing that right to learn to everybody. So you parents of children who are being victimized through discipline, we need to demand an investigation from the U.S. Department of Education into Antioch public schools and their disciplinary practices. And black parents are going to have to get organized enough to put pressure on the school system by boycotting it. That's right. I know many of you mothers, you look forward to your sons going off to school so you can get that much needed break. I understand being a single mom, even though y'all make it look easy, I never forget how hard it really is. So I know y'all look for that break, but if we really want to get the school system to change the way they do business with the black children in Antioch, in Sacramento, in Richmond, in Pittsburgh, California, and all across the state, we're going to have to show them we mean business. The problem with black people is we do a lot of begging and screaming and yelling and pleading. All you have to do is get into some action. We don't do action. We do words. And that's why we're not taken seriously. Now, I also read that the special ed black children in Antioch are expelled 13 times as much as white boys in regular classrooms. Now, let me deal with this for a minute. Raise your hand if you have a child who has an IEP. Raise your hand. Your child has an IEP. I got a couple of you. I'm glad it's not but so many. And by the way, when we talk about IEP, Individual Education Program, I call it what it really is, incarceration education preparation.
Thank you.
See, one thing I need y'all to understand, and I've been evaluating children for 25 years, I want to know what's so special about special education.
Come on.
You're talking to the man who puts the children in. I'm the one who say your child is autistic. I'm the one who says they're deaf and blind and brain injured, emotionally disturbed, intellectually disabled, reading disabled, comprehension disabled. I'm one of those. I'll put them in. The school psychologists, we're known as the gatekeepers of special ed because you don't go in without our diagnosis. And when I see you parents keep running up to the schools in Antioch, all across California, begging for inferior education. Because that's what special ed is. When you say, my child has a learning disability, you're giving Antioch schools permission to give them inferior education.
Come on.
And the question I always ask you all, how is your child going to catch up to the other children? Running slower. Special ed puts the brakes on the pace of progress. It doesn't speed it up. It doesn't speed it up. So why every time your child begins to struggle with math, you go looking for an IEP? Every time your child struggles with comprehension, you go looking for an evaluation. Every time your daughter has an issue with mathematics or algebra, oh, it must be a learning disability. No, it's not. It's a lazy disability. Your black children in Antioch, they're lazy. And so are you.
Come on.
Because if you were not lazy, there's no way they could pick up the bad habit. You know, I had a black mother who took me to task on that. And she said, Dr. Umar, you're absolutely wrong calling the learning disability a lazy disability. I said, why do you say that, good sister? She said, because my grandmother was in special ed. My father was in special ed. I was in special ed. My daughter was in special ed. My grandson is in special ed now. Special education runs in my family. I said, sweetheart.
Oh, no.
African people are the oldest people on the planet Earth. Special education is only 50 years old. There's no way in hell something a white man discovered last night. And then I went on to tell her, good sister, let me tell you what runs in your family. See, your great-grandmother didn't check your great-grandfather's homework.
Well.
And your grandfather didn't check your father's homework.
Well.
And your daddy didn't check your homework. And you didn't check your daughter's homework. And your daughter doesn't check your grandson's homework. So it's not special ed runs in the family. Poor parenting runs in your family. That's what you got. And some of you suffer from intergenerational poor parenting. And I'm not here to crucify you, I'm here to say you can change it. Show me a failing child, I'll show you a failing home.
Come on.
Children can't drop out of school until you drop out of their lives. If I was in charge of special ed in America, we would never ever diagnose another child, we would diagnose their parents.
Amen.
And many of your children come to school without any interest in achieving anyway.
That's right.
Come on.
Black excellence is an endangered species in our community. We got hip-hop excellence, we got dancing excellence, we got weave and perm excellence, we got Air Jordan excellence. Where's the academic excellence? I submit to you tonight, Antioch brothers and sisters, that we are responsible for the crime in Antioch. The black community is responsible for the crime in our community.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you why. We're breeding criminals, and I'm going to tell you how we breed them. We raise our black children on a diet of conspicuous consumption and European materialism.
Yeah.
You raise your child to believe if you ain't got Balenciaga, you're not as good as the others.
Come on now.
If you ain't got Air Jordans, you're not worth as much as those who do. You raise your daughters, if you ain't got that weave or that perm or that pocketbook, you less than. And we don't raise them just on any old merchandise. We raise them on the most expensive things white people make.
Yeah.
So here's where you are breeding the criminal. To tell a child you need Nikes on your feet. To tell a child you need Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Balenciaga. To tell a child that this is what you need to be a success. You got to drive a Mercedes, a BMW. You got to live here. You got to shop here. You got to eat here. To tell a child this is what it means to be a success.
Well.
And not raise that child with the discipline they need to be in a position to earn those things legally.
Come on now. Come on now. That's it.
See how this works? You tell them this is what you need to be somebody. But I'm not going to train you, teach you, condition you, equip you with the self-discipline to be able to earn it legally. So that leaves them with no choice but to do what? Go out, kill, steal, and rob. Because mom and daddy said, I need this, but they never taught me how to work hard enough to get it.
All right.
We are breeding the damn criminals. Let us be clear. The mother of all crime is miseducation. The father of all crime is economic castration. Crime is the son. The mother is poor academics, and the father is no economic opportunities. And what's sad is, Antioch, as small as we are, in this community, 20%, there's still enough money in that 20% for us to teach our kids ourselves. There's enough money in that 20% for you black men to organize a rites of passage program for our boys. There's enough money in that 20% for you black women to come together and spend some time with our daughters. You know, black girls 14 to 17 are now the fastest growing suicide group in America. I'm gonna say that one more time. Black girls 14 to 17 post-COVID are the fastest growing suicide risk in the country. You wanna know why? Because when they was home for COVID, they had to deal with the molestation without a break by going to school. That's right. When they was home with the COVID, they had to deal with the emotional abuse from their mothers without the break they normally got by going to school. When they was home during COVID, they were parentified by their mothers and fathers, forced to take care of their younger brothers and sisters sometimes because that's just the way it had to be. But the stress of being a young black girl with the sex abuse and the emotional abuse and the parental abandonment and everything else that comes with that has our daughters overdosing on pills and cutting their wrists. I know because I work with them.
Come on now.
I was in a high school in West Philadelphia some time ago where we found a young lady in the bathroom cut her wrists because her boyfriend left her. I want all you fathers to know something in here. If you find out that your daughter gets pregnant by one of the young men here in Antioch, I don't want you to go try to put your hands on that young man. I want you to look in the mirror. Teenage pregnancy is the result of a father not investing in his daughter's emotional development. Absentee dads bring teenage pregnancy. Now, Pastor, I don't know where you got these cutouts, but you have to let me know, sir, because I need some for the Frederick Douglass Marcus Golf event. Give Pastor a hand. And you know, it's funny because when we talk about the Honorable Frederick Douglass, who I'm related to by blood, my 4 times great-grandfather, and he grew up together in Talbot County, Eastern Shore, Maryland. But when we talk about Frederick, everybody's quick to point out, Dr. Umar, you don't support the snow bunny crisis, but didn't your cousin marry a white woman? And it's very true. Frederick Douglass did marry a white woman as an old man. And I don't have a problem with you holding him accountable for that because he should have never done it. However, his first wife was a blue, black, purple chocolate woman named Anna Murray Douglas. Who ran the Underground Railroad in Rochester, New York, when he was not home. Put some respect on that black woman's name. And then I think of this woman over here. That's right. If you have never been to the Queen Mother Harriet Tubman gravesite in Auburn, New York, you make sure you go. Take a trip. Pastor, if you ever decide to do a church trip up there, you let me know. I'll meet you guys up for the tour. Where Harriet Tubman was buried at, y'all, there's a tree coming out the ground behind her tombstone. You can't tell me her spirit not in the tree. Right behind the tombstone, the biggest tree you can see, I know that's her spirit in there. This black woman who ran away from slavery to freedom, one county away from where Cousin Fred ran, 1849, right before they passed the Fugitive Slave Bill. So she runs on up through Wilmington, Delaware. In fact, Harriet Tubman's main European financier, Thomas Garrett, is buried a few blocks from our school. When you come to the grand opening of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, I'm going to take you on a little Underground Railroad tour of Wilmington. Because see, Delaware was the last slave state. You had to make it through Delaware to get into free Pennsylvania. And so Queen Mother Harriet Tubman spent a lot of time all around where FDMG Academy is. So she gets to Philadelphia and she meets William Still, who collected the largest depository of escaped slave narratives in history. And after she gets free, she goes back and gets all her brothers and siblings except one who was sold so far south, Harriet couldn't find him. Then she heard her mother and father was about to be sold south for helping the runaways. So Harriet Tubman comes to Wilmington, Delaware, gets with Thomas Garrett. He loans Harriet a horse and carriage, and this little black woman over here, about 5 feet and 100 pounds soaking wet, takes this horse and carriage by herself into the slave territory of Maryland, throw her mother and father on the back, and ride out. And then after she freed her mother and father, they begged Queen Mother Harriet, don't go back no more because your slave master has a $50,000 bounty on your head. And Queen Mother Harriet said, Mommy and Daddy, don't worry about me because the Lord gave me this mission.
That's right.
And only the Lord can take it back.
That's right.
All right.
And she says, if I am captured or killed while I'm freeing African people, I will take that as a message from my Lord that I have done my duty and it's time to come on home. More than 30 trips back and forth. And then when she was done on the Underground Railroad, she gets a phone call from the War Department, South Carolina. Would you mind coming down to aid Abraham Lincoln in the Union Army by being a nurse, a spy, and a scout? So Harriet Tubman takes off to aid the war effort. And Harriet Tubman becomes the only woman in American history to lead troops into battle when she commandeered the Combahee River Raid. And in one day, the U.S. colored troops of the Civil War, under the direction of General Tubman, freed 750 slaves in a day. She's the only woman in the history of this country to lead troops into battle through the military. And guess what? She still wasn't done. Because she was not officially a soldier, they didn't pay Harriet Tubman no money. So she made her money by taking care of the soldiers when they got ill, because Harriet Tubman was an herbalist. She knew the herbs and the plants. And she would heal the sick soldiers through the herbs and the plants. And she'd make tea, make her own soup, and that's how she made away. And then she goes back up to Auburn, New York. You would think she already done enough with the Underground Railroad. You would think she already done enough by aiding the war effort for free. She comes back up to Auburn, and guess what this little black woman does? Opens up a hospital for black people. A hospital! And then she opens up an old folks home for elderly Africans, because during slavery, when you could no longer work, they turn you over into the street to die. And if the hospital wasn't enough, if the old folks home wasn't enough, she turned around and opened up a farm to finance the hospital and the old folks home. And then she applied for a soldier's pension after all she did for the U.S. military struggle, and they turned her down. She finally got a military pension because her second husband, when he passed away, she got the widow's pension. But America never paid Harriet Tubman the debt they owed her for helping them win that Civil War. Don't you find it ironic and hypocritical that after not paying Harriet Tubman when she was alive, you would dare put her face on your money now? And then when she was old and gray, right before she passed on, March 10th, 1913, they sat Harriet Tubman down and they interviewed Queen Mother Araminta Ross. And they said, were you ever scared? No. Did you almost get captured? Plenty of times. But whenever I found myself in a situation that I thought was unmanageable, I would drop to my hands and knees, pray to Almighty God, and whenever I called on my Lord, He found a way for me out of the situation. But Queen Mother Harriet Tubman said, I had one regret though. One thing I regretted, all them years on the Underground Railroad, all them years in the Civil War, all them years taking care of my elderly Africans. She said, I freed hundreds of slaves. I could have freed thousands more.
Well,
problem is, they didn't even know they were slaves. I give you her story because I want to know, how is it we as American Africans are a $2 trillion people?
come on.
Harriet Tubman had no money and gave us a farm, a hospital, an elderly home. We $2 trillion, and you ain't got an institution to call your own in your city. Nothing disturbs me more when I travel this country. Nothing disturbs me more when I travel this country than to see black people wasting all this money, not redirecting any of it to build any of the institutions we need. They turn it in a grave. We just celebrated this man's birth, the good Reverend Dr. King. And you got black people trying to blame Dr. King for integration. Dr. King ain't had nothing to do with integration. Dr. King was bad before integration came.
Come on now.
Dr. King gave you the right to vote.
Yeah.
And he gave you the right not to be discriminated against in public accommodations. That's it. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black schools. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black hospitals. Show me the speech where Dr. King said, give up your black banks and supermarkets and communities. He never said that. In fact, he defended the right for us to have our own institution. But you Negroes, let the baby talk, that's the ancestors. You Negroes. It was you who sold out Dr. King's dream by running away from your people, trying to disappear in the sea of whiteness. Somebody said, Dr. Umar, we did better when we was alone, when we was segregated. We had Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, Florida, Charleston, South Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. We had Black Wall Street everywhere, Dr. Umar. They should have kept us segregated. And then you know what I say to that? Nobody forced you to join the Caucasians. Nobody forced you. You did it. Some of y'all in here send your black children to white private schools in California because it makes you look better. But they catching hell. You know why they catching hell? When did we get the biggest explosion in independent white private schools in America? 1954 to 74. Do you know what happened between 54 and 74? That's when the Supreme Court said you can no longer use race as a factor in education. So when they started talking about desegregating the schools, white people pulled their kids out and opened up private schools. Private schools was a strategy to get away from you. And you got the audacity to chase them out to the suburbs. And at a certain level, I can't be upset with the white folks. You know why? Because they keep trying to be by themselves and you won't leave them alone. They was in Oakland, you came to be with them in Oakland. They ran to Pittsburgh, you ran your black ass to Pittsburgh. Came to Antioch, Pastor told me Antioch used to be a sundown town. You couldn't even be seen around here after the sunset, and now you Negroes is here. So the white folks said, listen, if they gonna chase us everywhere we go, we might as well go back to where we started. Let's take back Oakland and San Fran. And leave them in the suburbs. Leave their black asses in the suburbs, and we will go back home since they don't know how to create a community of their own. Then I got news for you, Antioch. 20%. That means we gotta stick together to have a word. We gotta stick together to have any leverage. We got to stick together to have any say-so. If we're only 20%, you can't afford to be moving to the white suburb. We got to stay together. Power is in solidarity. Power is in solidarity. You can't keep running away from your community and wonder why we ain't got no political power. We got to live together. Why you think they be redistricting the residential zones? Because white folks want to keep their power together, and you want to dissipate yours. We keep saying we want our black women to respect us and trust us and honor us. You don't have to ask for it. Once you be the king you're supposed to be, she'll automatically honor you.
And let us be honest, brothers, some of us have gotten comfortable with the black woman in charge. We like the freedom it has given us to cut out whenever we feel like it. Drop 3 or 4 babies in her and then tell her, I don't think you're the woman for me. After 4 babies. You knew that before the first baby. But our community has made it easy sometimes for the men to get up and move on. And that's not fair. Don't give that woman no children if you're not going to be there to take care of them. But on the flip side, ladies, you got to work on yourself too, because some of you, although you're tired of being in charge, you're not ready to share the power in the household.
Come on now.
So some sisters, when you find a good black man, I'm talking about one you know is good, no can hold you down because you so used to being in charge and you've been listening to those radical black feminists on YouTube. Telling you no, you don't ever give him no power back. You make the decisions. And now you got a good black man, but you keep on emasculating him daily, even in front of his children. He ain't got no choice but to leave. A man can't stay anywhere where his manhood is constantly being surrendered to your insults. So we both got some work to do, but all we got is each other. See, I don't care how many white girls you marry. At the end of the day, God forbid if there's ever a conflict between us and them, you know damn well she's not fighting with us. And when you have your beautiful mixed race African children, some of you Negroes don't even raise them with a black consciousness. You got mixed race black kids running around talking about I'm biracial. Don't no white person call you biracial when they see you. They call you nigga like the rest of us. I'm mixed race. No, you mixed up in your damn head. This man had a white father who raped his mother, my Aunt Harriet. Ain't nobody ever called him mixed race. We keep coming up with these new names every 25 years trying to redefine ourselves out of oppression. You can't redefine yourself out of oppression. You got to work it. Why do you think we've had a million names since we've been in America? We've been Negro, Afro, African, Moor, Hebrew, Nawapian, colored. You know why? Because rather than work ourselves into a better predicament, we think we can rename ourselves out of it. Now you got Negroes running around talking about something, I'm a pretendian. My great-grandma was a Choctaw. My great-grandpa was a Chickasaw. And you don't even realize, you fool, that them 5 major tribes own black people themselves as slaves.
Come on now.
I'm not saying you ain't got no Native American blood. I got some. He had some. But since when having 1 or 2 Native American ancestors stop you from being black? Did you realize we the only people, when we find out we got a drop of something else in us, we cancel out the whole African lineage? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Negro said, my great-grandfather is Italian. They won't even let his ass in the Vatican. They don't claim you. When a Caucasian find out they got some black blood, you don't hear no celebrations. They keep that to themselves. They say, hey, you know Rand Fox, your granddad? White folks ain't telling nobody. Black people always looking to be something that you not. And guess what? I'm not going to try to convince you. Same thing I told my Latino Africans down in Panama last week. Listen, you want to call yourself Spanish? You do know that's a language. That ain't a culture or a people. Try not to be black. Negro talking about his ancestors didn't come from Africa. Looking like Shaka Zulu. Talking about I'm all native. Negroes is crazy. I'm gonna open me up a mental health hospital for sick ninjas. Brothers and sisters, I want to give you some rules for the schools now. And just so y'all know, I got a special announcement. I will be back in Oakland on Saturday, February the 17th, to offer all of you who are interested my Black Parent Know Your School Rights Boot Camp training. It's going to be from 9 until 5. I'm going to train you on how to advocate for your children in the school system and a mental health system. We're going over all the special ed disabilities. We're going over all the mental disorders. We're going over the definitions of speech and language. We're going over the definitions of autism. We're going over the definitions of the reading, math, comprehension disabilities. We're going over conduct disorder, ADHD. We're going to talk about the medications. We're going to go over the 504 plan, the psychological evaluation, the functional behavioral assessment, the positive behavior plan, how to write letters to the school, how to keep documentation. Everything you need to know, you're going to learn from Dr. Umar from 9 until 5 on Saturday, February the 17th. It will cost you $50 because I have to make a lot of copies. Y'all going to get a training packet that you're going to keep with you forever. That's your resource. And we also going to feed you lunch, and there's going to be snacks, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I did the boot camp in Long Beach in 2020, right before COVID hit. But because California is such a large state, and my Bay Area Africans been complaining, Dr. Umar, we might live in California, but Los Angeles is 6 hours away. You need to come do the training, so I'm going to come and do it for you guys, but I'm only doing it once. So if you're too lazy to show up, or you too cheap to pay the $50, that's on you. Because last time I checked, I'm the only school psychologist in America that travels and trains you how to protect your children. So the choice is yours. The choice is yours. The choice is yours. And any snow bunnies out there with black children, you're welcome to come too to learn how to protect our children. Don't be flirting with the other fathers, my God. Eat your jerk chicken and learn. So when you're dealing with the school system, Antioch, let me give you a couple rules. Rule number 1, if your child is 7 years old or younger, that's basically 2nd grade or under, you never sign permission for them to be tested for anything unless a speech, deafness, blindness, brain injury, orthopedically impairment, or multiple disability. You never let a 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old get tested for a reading disability, a math disability, ADHD. Are you out of your mind? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is one of the biggest scams ever ran on Black America. It don't even exist. It don't even. When did we get ADD? 1980. Same time we got crack from the CIA. They started drugging our boys the same time they was doping up their fathers. The drug companies influenced the American Psychiatric Association. The drug companies influenced the American Psychological Association. The mental health establishment. This is all a hustle. They make $30 billion a year pushing crack disguised as ADHD meds. Oh, you don't know that the Drug Enforcement Agency of America classifies Ritalin as a Schedule B drug that's in the same category as cocaine and opium? And this is what you're giving your son every day so he can sit still long enough to learn about Christopher Columbus. Listen, Antioch, I'm going to tell you one time. If you don't listen, it's on you. And the Lord is my witness as I stand here in the house of the Lord. Never get your child tested for ADHD, conduct disorder, or ODD, because if you let them label your child, you have given school the ammunition to contact Child Protective Services, make a complaint against you. And if you do not medicate that child who you let get diagnosed with ADHD, they will take him from you. It's called medical neglect. I know black parents all over America who had their children taken because they didn't listen to Dr. Umar when I told them, when they asked you will you get them tested for ADHD, hell no! Because once they got the diagnosis, they can force the medication. Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Metadate, Cycler, crack, and more crack. Let me ask you a question. How dare you lock up black men for selling drugs? And then turn around and give his son the same drug you locked him up for. If drugs are bad, ain't they bad for everybody? How can drugs be bad for adults and good for their children? This is a damn scam. Nothing's wrong with black boys. Nothing's wrong with black boys. The problem is black boys are subject to snow bunny classroom racism. Come on. It's the Caucasian teachers in Antioch school that's the problem. Not everyone. Not everyone. But as a former school principal and a former school assistant principal and a current school psychologist, I can tell you, classroom racism is the biggest reason for why black boys underachieve. So we need to have a conversation with your superintendent of schools in Antioch. Why we ain't got more black males in here? Oh, we can't find them. That's a lie, because every HBCU has an education department packed with black males. Stop lying, talking about you can't find no black male teachers. Y'all don't want them. Because the white teachers don't want black men in there who will hold them accountable for mistreating our sons. Public school is the white female queendom. She rules it with an iron fist. And for the life of me, I don't know why black teachers haven't organized yet and built your own union. I'm seeing black teachers get fired for nothing. But yet black teachers are still comfortable being part of the white teachers union who only use you for votes and dues money. Same thing with the black nurses. Why black nurses ain't organized yet? Overworked, mistreated, first fired. You comfortable to be part of the white nurses union. See, the one thing slavery did to us, we still suffer from it. Everybody in this room. You want to know why we're so different from everybody else in Antioch? Because we're the only people who had our political, economic, and psychological development arrested. For 246 years, your development was arrested. And you were trained to believe that you should never want control over your destiny. That's why when you go around Antioch, you see Mexican community, Asian community, white community. Where's the black one? Ain't got one because we comfortable having no power. We comfortable having no control. Who made you comfortable? Slavery. But that's not an excuse to stay there. That's not an excuse to stay there. Don't let them test your children 7 or under. Tell them no. And if they keep on asking you, you need to write a letter. They are not allowed to harass you. Write a letter to the principal, Dr. Silverstein, Mrs. Buckenholder. Keeps coming to me every day asking me if I would allow Raekwon to get tested for a learning disability. I've already given her my decision. I said I'm not interested. If I change my mind, I'll let her know. I would appreciate it if you tell your teacher to stop harassing me. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, if you don't put it on paper, you can't prove it happened. Big mistake y'all parents made. Y'all do all these conversations with the teacher, all these conversations with the dean, all these conversations with the principal. The hell with the conversation. Put it in writing. You gotta be able to show, this is what I complained about and you did nothing about it. This is what I complained about and I did and you did nothing about it. That kid keep bullying your son, you kept calling the school, but you never put it in writing. So when your son get tired of it and fight back and hurt the kid, now he being expelled. But if you had your documentation, you can show, I begged them to stop that boy from bullying my son and they did nothing about it. Having a lazy black parent is like having no parent at all. And too many of our children got lazy black parents. When's the last time you've been to back to school night? When's the last time you picked up a report card? When's the last time you just called up into the teacher's classroom to see how your son was doing? Or do they only see you when he gets in trouble or somebody yells at him? I'm telling you right now, every school in America has a black list. You know what the black list is? This is a list of black parents who they know not to play with. Are you on the list? Because you're not on the list, you're not on your job. There's some black parents, they won't even suspend your child no more. You come up there with 10 of your aunts and cousins. They don't want to see you. Leave him alone. But some of y'all don't be on your job. And for those of y'all raising preschoolers, I'm going to tell you right now, kindergarten is not the first time your son's supposed to look at a book, pick up a pencil, see an alphabet, or write a number. There's nothing more trifling and embarrassing than when I get a referral from a white teacher to test a kid in preschool or kindergarten because she's claiming he got a learning disability when he don't. He just hasn't been subject to any pre-academic exposure at all. Ghetto babies. They show up, can't sit still for 5 minutes, not because they got ADHD, but because in your house there was no discipline. When your child gets to kindergarten, he should know how to write his name, his address, your name, your phone number. He should know his colors, his numbers, his sizes, and his shapes before kindergarten. And if he don't, I'm gonna tell you right now, Mrs. Buckenholder, she's not gonna waste no time trying to teach you. Now, for those of y'all who got children who got speech problems, your child got a stuttering, they have trouble articulating, I don't have a problem with a child being classified with a speech and language impairment for the purposes of getting speech therapy. Yes, it's special ed. Yes, they get an IEP, but the good news is speech children do not go to an isolated special ed class. They stay in the regular class and they get pulled out for speech therapy. So if you think your child needs a little bit of speech therapy, go ahead and get them tested for that. They need to have a 25% delay in order to qualify for the service. But I'm gonna tell you this, speech parents. You get what you pay for. What I mean by that is in my 25 years of experience, speech therapists can be quite lazy. They do not work with your children as much as they claim they do on paper. And if you know, like I know, you should be contacting the African American Speech and Language Therapists Association for a recommendation of a private speech pathologist somewhere in your county who you can pay out of pocket for the service. You get what you pay for. And don't act like you can't afford it because it's only going to be about $35, $45 a session. You spend more than that on your nails every week. And by the way, last month, y'all went Christmas shopping. And I'm willing to bet there were very few books under your Christmas tree. I'm willing to bet you did not invest in an up-to-date dictionary with more than 100 pages in it. I'm willing to bet you didn't invest in a thesaurus. I'm willing to bet you did not invest in a new set of encyclopedia. You bought video games, you brought sneakers, you brought clothes, you brought tablets, you brought big screen televisions. Do you know what you basically did with your Christmas shopping? You invested in your child's future incarceration. Because everything you bought them for Christmas is a distraction from academic excellence. Wait a minute. Raekwon is in the 5th grade, reading on the 2nd grade level. And you went out and bought him a video game system for Christmas. The boy is 3 grades behind level, and you bought him a video game system. Who in the hell think Raekwon gonna ever learn how to read once he start playing the video games? What y'all doing? Why is there a video game system in a house where the kids can't read on grade level? You making slaves for the penitentiary, I got you. Because you know if Raekwon can't read by the time he finished the 5th grade, there's a 75% chance he'll spend some of his early adulthood in jail. Y'all do know that. And you know what's sad about that? You know how to read. But your son don't. That means you're not working with him. How mommy can read and son can't? That man right there taught himself how to read. Under punishment of death, on the run from the slave master. No IEP, no special ed, no school psychologist. And you mean to tell me 200 years later, your child needs special help? No, he's specially lazy. What is the #1 job of a black parent? To teach your child discipline. And what is Dr. Umar's definition of discipline? It's the ability for your child to do what needs to be done when it got to be done, whether they like it or not.
Amen.
Does your son have that? Does your daughter have that? The ability to put down the video game and get my homework done. The ability to put down the basketball, football, come in the house and clean up my room by a certain time, because that's what daddy said. The ability to check my homework to make sure I earn the highest grade possible. Many of you are raising lazy black kids who only do what they want to do when they feel like doing it. And you know what the problem with that is? As we all know as adults, you have to be able to do what you don't want to do. To be in a space to do what you like to do. And if you black, you gotta work twice as hard to get half as much. So how in the hell you raising black kids to be lazy in a world where they're gonna be discriminated against for everything they do? Lord have mercy. That's why at the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy, I originally wanted a residential school. Hopefully one day we'll get to the residential school. We're gonna start with a day school, but I want it overnight. You know why I want it overnight? Because I didn't want your children coming back home to you, because you're part of my problem. You part of the damn problem. Yes! And I want to give the pastor an extra shout out, pastor, because I do not see a picture of a white Christ in here. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! We still got pictures of white Jesus in black churches. I know because I speak in them. And the pastor say, Dr. Umar, it's not that big of a deal. Color don't matter. Pastor, if color don't matter, why did the white man go all over the earth finding every black Jesus painting sculpture and picture he could find and turning it white if it didn't matter? Color does matter. And let me tell you why color matters, my multicultural colorblind Negroes. Color matters because everything in your brain is stored as an image. I hope you're following me. Everything, all your memories are images. So if you take a black child to church with a white Jesus and you say this is our Lord and Savior, that image will be imprinted in your child's long-term memory. It will become an unconscious law of his being. And when he's old enough to go to school, he will automatically look to worship white people unconsciously, because if God is white and he's all powerful, then maybe that explains why the white police get to kill black people and get away with it. Furthermore, I need y'all to understand something, because I cringe when I hear Negroes say, well, this is just a color. No, it's not. This in your skin, this melanin is a chemical. It is an energy. It is a power. This is your birthright. This is your spiritual aptitude. Because you have melanin, you have a connection to supreme consciousness, Almighty God, that no other people could ever reach. We are the chosen ones. Dr. Umar, why did God create the white man to punish black folks? Because the white man is your test on earth. He's your test. You claim to be so holy, you claim to believe in God, Jesus, Allah, Buddha, whatever you into, then guess what? Overcome white supremacy then. Because it is through your struggle that you perfect your spirituality. There ain't no such thing about being a God-fearing black person and you are not impacting the reality of your community. Jesus was a political force. Moses was a political force. Muhammad ibn Abdullah was a political force. Don't tell me you so religious and you don't make no difference in Antioch. I had this conversation with a pastor back home in Philadelphia. I said, Pastor, if your job is really to do the Lord's work, really to do the Lord's work, why are you so comfortable with your people catching hell every day? Rule number 2 for your children. Don't sign the psychological evaluation until you read every page of it. And if you don't understand what you're reading, that's why Dr. Umar is here. You call me up, we schedule a consult, and we'll go over the evaluation together. I'm so sick and tired of y'all walking into these schools, signing your name on documentation you didn't even read. You don't read the psych eval, but you signing it. You don't read the IEP, but you signing it. You didn't read the 504 plan, but you signing it. You didn't read the functional behavioral assessment, but you signing it. What's wrong with you? You walk into the school, they shove a paper in your hand, just sign it, and you just sign it. Do you know that's an insult? True. I work in black schools and white schools. They don't treat white parents like that. They don't shove stuff in their face when they walk into the school and say sign it. They put it in the envelope and they send it home. And the next time somebody shove a paper in your face in the school, you know what you're going to tell them? I'm taking this home. Well, we need it now. That's your problem. If you needed this today, I should have had it last week. Teach them how to treat you. You don't let nobody make you think you got to time. Oh, we got to hurry up and do the IEP meeting. We're about to be out of compliance. No, you're about to be out of compliance. I'm the parent. I ain't got no timelines. This is my child. I got to get with them. Most of your children go to Title I schools. Title I schools. Title I comes from the Lyndon Baines Johnson Elementary and Secondary Schools Act of 1965. You know what Title I money is? It's where they give you money to help improve the reading and math skills of children who live in impoverished communities. So can I ask you a question? If your child's school in Antioch is a Title I school, why are they trying to force you to put them in special ed instead of using some of that Title I money to pay for it too? The next time the school talk about Raheem can't read, ask them where the tutor from the Title I money. We don't ever ask them about the Title I money, millions of dollars. In fact, pastor need to have a conversation with the superintendent because he can use some of the Title I funds in here and start a reading math after school program. They be robbing us and we be letting them. When the last time a black person had a contract with the Antioch school system? Who got the contract to clean the bathrooms? Who got the contract to wash the windows? Who got the contract to get rid of the old damaged furniture? Who got the contract to mop the floors? Who got the contract to put the audio-visual cameras in? Do you know these are $1 million contracts? When the last time a black person had one? But let me back up. When the last time one of you Negroes went to a school board meeting? Because if you don't go to the school board meeting, you don't know who getting the contract because that's when they give out the contract. Start going to the school board meetings. I don't care where I am in America, Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, Houston, Little Rock, Jackson, Mississippi, Oakland, Antioch, Sacramento. I walk into a school board meeting, I'll be lucky if I see 5 black folks. A whole sea of white folks getting your damn tax money in the name of contracts because you're too lazy to show up. I want to give white people an award for coming up with the greatest invention of the modern age. It ain't the cell phone, it ain't the airplane, it ain't the atomic bomb, it ain't medication. The greatest thing ever invented was the American Negro. An organism that works against its own best interest without even being paid to do it. We self-destruct without even being funded to self-destruct. The most honorable Marcus Garvey said, we curse with petty differences. If we ain't got a reason to fight with each other, we'll make one up. Y'all better get over it. Until you hate racism more than you hate each other, nothing changes. And I want to be clear, I'm not against Caucasians. I'm not against no other race, but I'm pro my own. And I don't apologize for that. I don't apologize for that. I got white folks and Negro peons all on YouTube. He's the black Hitler. I ain't never advocated harm against nobody. And I never will do that. Do you know I help white people, they kids too, but they'll never tell you? Yes, they call me. Arabs, Chinese, they all call me. They won't tell you that. I'll help anybody, but not before I help mine. Next, Do not go to a school meeting by yourself ever again in your life. Mother, father, grandparents, foster parents, auntie, uncle, raising your nieces and nephews. Don't go to any public, charter, parochial, independent school by yourself for a meeting. Always take somebody with you because you need a witness in case you ever got to sue somebody. If you notice, whenever you go to the school, it'll be 10 school members for you. One black mother in Antioch, one black mother in Sacramento, and you got 10 white folks surrounding you like a clan gathering. You got the principal, the vice principal, the principal intern, the dean of students, the math coach, the reading coach, the school social worker, the school psychologist, the school counselor, the bus driver, the window sweeper, the trash man, the lunch aide. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And you sitting in there like, damn. They told me they wanted to talk to me about my son's behavior. Did they need 12 people? Do you know why they got 12 people? 2 functions. To intimidate you, number one. Because see, you sitting there and you ain't got all these degrees. Well, even if you got them, you're outnumbered. Or you're not an so they tell you, well, I'm a reading specialist. I'm a math coach. I've been a principal for 50 years. I taught you and your mother, remember? They love that, don't they? I taught your brother. Yeah, and look how that turned out. The job of the bully meeting, because that's what it is, the bully meeting is to force you to sign that paper. Oh, just sign. We just want to see if you got ADHD. Don't worry about it. Let's just see. It's only for Raheem. And you go ahead and sign it. Take somebody with you. Women, bring the father. If you can't bring the father, bring the uncle, cousin, next door neighbor. And if you can't find no alpha males in the community, I want you to go to the weed corner and get Tay-Tay and Mike. Oh yeah, they won't bully you no more. Show up in that meeting with Mike, and Tay-Tay. Wife beater, 50 tattoos, cornrows, pants sagging, crack out, Timberlands leading, smelling like weed, take them all in there. Tell them, don't sit down, fold your arms, look mean, but never speak. Oh yeah. See, I love the ex-con brothers because they're not scared of nobody. See, the brothers with the college degrees, we done turned into punks and cowards trying to protect our credentials. Brother fresh out of prison, he ain't scared of the cops, he ain't scared of school, he ain't scared of nobody. That's who we need fighting. And shame on any black man who don't go with the baby mom or wife to go see about your son. Nothing hurts me more than to see mothers in there fighting for sons. Where the damn daddy at? Even when I do my Black Parent Boot Camp, y'all gonna see it February 17th in Oakland. Very few black men will be there. It's a shame. Our sons are being crushed in these school systems and we don't even learn how to protect them. We think it's a mother's job. Sad. Don't go to these meetings by yourself. And by the way, every school in Antioch, every school in Sacramento, every school in Richmond, every school in Oakland, every school in Marin City has a white teacher mafia. Do you know what the white teacher mafia is? It's a handful of Caucasian women. 4 or 5 of them. Miss Beckenberger is on it. Miss Pellegrino. Shut up! Dr. Schwarzkopf. And guess what this white teacher mafia do? They run the whole school. They run it. This is why your black principals can never be good principals. You know why? They set us up to fail. I remember I was offered a high school right outside of Philadelphia. Dr. Johnson, we want you to come and be principal. We know you can turn the school around. I said, you know what? I know I could too, but we got one problem. And they said, what? I said, the teachers union. I said, if you want me to change the school around, I got to choose my own teachers. You want me to change the school around with the same lazy, racist teachers. Are y'all with me? This is why black principals can't win. You give us the school, but you give us soldiers that we didn't choose. And then I say, I need her out of my school. She lazy, she racist, she don't do no work, she bully my new teachers who want to do good, she bully them. Well, she was the 1965 Teacher of the Year. Miss Bucket Holder. $1965. This is what they do. They come. Well, you know she graduated from Harvard. So she lazy and she don't do no work. And the principals are scared. You ever been in a meeting with the black principal and the white teachers are there? And the principal's scared of the teachers? Raise your hand if you ever seen this. You like, who's in charge? You the principal, but the white teacher running the whole meeting and telling you where to go and how to get there. Because he know her husband is the chair of the union. If he pisses her off, she gonna call her husband, and the husband gonna call the superintendent, because they belong to the same KKK classroom. And the next thing you know, I'm getting a phone call saying I've been transferred to another school. Oh, white teacher mafia. If you don't do what they tell you to do, they get rid of you. Every school got one. And let me tell you this. Don't trust the black person who the school team brings into the meeting. Listen! There's always two coons. Every public school in Antioch got two coons. And guess what? It might be an elder. They might be Hotep. They're gonna come in there with their kente on, made in China. Locks all down their back, smell like frankincense and myrrh. Green smoothie, veggie wrap. The fake woke starter kit. And they're gonna say, listen, I remember you. You used to be in my Black History program 30 years ago. Listen, I know Dr. Umar was here Friday and fired y'all up at the church. And I agree with some things Dr. Umar said. But he's a little extreme. Do you remember my grandson, Raekwon? Raekwon was diagnosed with ADHD. He had Ritalin and Adderall. He turned out fine. Yeah, they caught him running down the street butt naked last night, but not because of... Shut up! Stop, sit up, sister! You remember my other grandson? Ghostface Killer? Ghostface, they had him on Risperdal for his mood disorders. They had him on Prozac for his anger, and a little bit of Cyclerk to help him focus. He turned out fine. Yeah, he might have killed all the cats in the neighborhood, but not because of the meds. I'm telling y'all right now, don't trust the Hotepper on the school team. They're not loyal to you or your child. They're loyal to that paycheck, the benefits, that summer. Y'all be walking in there and the office look all Afro. Oh, my son got a good principal. He got locks and his name is Ma'at Gad Rock. No! He go to Africa every year. Listen, y'all wanna hear something? I've had to fight with more black principals to keep our kids out of special ed than the white ones. Did y'all hear what I just said? I'm gonna repeat what I said. I had to fight with more black principals than the white ones to keep our kids out of special ed. White folks don't even mess with me. Whatever I say, let him have it. Is that anybody? Give it to him, whatever he ain't got, get him out. But the black folks, because you know why? Special ed kids get money. They looking at the money. Every time I put one of your kids in special ed, their name goes into a computer. It gets transferred to Sacramento State Department of Education, and by the end of the month, there's an electronic transfer of funds for your child. Special ed kids are worth twice as much as the regular ones. Oh yeah. Nobody told you that. So let's say Antioch Public Schools spends about $9,000 per child. Once Dr. Umar say Raekwon is retarded or reading disabled or ADHD or emotionally disturbed, once I give him a label, he ain't worth $9,000 no more. he worth 18,000. So let me ask you a question. If Raekwon is worth an extra 9,000 and he's only in the 2nd grade, he got 10 more years of school. 9,000 times 10 years is how much? 90,000. That's almost 100 grand for one kid. One kid. What about 10 kids? What about 400 kids? How many black boys in special ed in Antioch, and what is the special ed budget for Antioch schools? Oh yeah. You got white folks living comfortably in the mountains all around Antioch off of your child's misdiagnosis that they never would have had if their parents raised them in a household culture of black excellence. Look, the black boy don't need no special school, no special teacher. What he needs is for white teachers to stop treating him like he's different.
Come on now. All right.
That's all. Black boys can learn as well as anybody else.
That's right.
There's a psychologist by the name of Dr. Amos Wilson. I think he's the greatest black psychologist of all time. He wrote a book called Developmental Psychology of the Black Child. I recommend you read it. Amos Wilson found studies that white psychologists did on the intelligence of black children, but they never published it. Guess what was in these research? It showed that black children were more intelligent than the children of other groups. That they developed faster and quicker. They outperformed all other children on tests of intelligence up until they go to school. Now check this out. Once your child goes into the public school in Antioch, kindergarten, his IQ score will go down every year he goes up in grade. Did y'all hear what I just said? In the United States of America, the average intelligence score of a black child will go down. Every year, he go up in grade. Do you know what that means? The longer we keep our kids in these public schools, the dumber they become.
Come on.
I had a parent call me the other day, Dr. Umar, can you name an IQ test I can tell the IEP team to use to evaluate my son? Because I don't know who tested, or none of the white tests, because I heard you say that all the fathers of psychology was racist and hated black folks, which is true. But guess what else is true? We don't have no culturally neutral IQ tests.
There you go.
Black psychologists ain't coming up with none. They too busy wearing dashikis and getting their hair locked. I'm not against locks, and I'm not against dashikis. I probably got more than anybody in America. But I'm sick and tired of us walking around with cultural costumes on, not struggling for our people. Bougie Hotep. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Bougie Hotep. Bougie Hotep. You got on a King Tut suit and $5,000 Gucci sandals. Bougie Hotep. You got on a King Tut suit and a $5,000 blonde weave. Bougie Hotep. Y'all seen it before, like, does that really go together? And ladies, Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy in Wilmington, Delaware, I want to invite all of you to come to the grand opening, which will be sometime this year. Make sure you follow me on my social media so you'll know. But all the major renovations of the school is done. And I want to thank all of y'all who donated, because we've been through some long, hard times. Long, hard times. We down to the nitty gritty now. Fix a little bit of drop ceiling, paint the walls, put the floors down in the classrooms where we took the old carpets that were there when we bought the school. So we at the final touches now. If any of you want to work at the school, send me your resume. fdmgresumes@gmail.com. But if you are a bunny hopper, do not send your resume. I do not need you. Okay? And don't worry about being a public school certified teacher. We are an independent school. The certification process is completely different. If you know how to teach reading, send me a resume for reading. If you know how to teach math, well, send me a resume for math. If you can speak an African language and you're willing to come teach it, come on. Black women, if you know how to do natural hair care, we're going to need you. Because in a couple years, we're going to open up the Anna Douglas and Amy Garvey Princess Academy. And all the girls have to be natural. No weave, no perm, no straightening comb, no European hair color. And I know this is California. I saw boys in the hood, no Jerry curls either. Stop playing games. Antioch, y'all need to start having a black disaster preparedness meeting right here with the pastor. See if the pastor will let you hold it here. Once a month, 5 things y'all need to deal with right on the top of the list. There's more than 5, but 5 you better deal with first. Number 1, where will the emergency food storage be kept in the event of a disaster? Because you won't be able to go to those supermarkets, they open. So we need to identify a place in Antioch, same thing I told Sacramento yesterday, and this is going to be the secret food bank for black folks. Nobody knows where it is except Pastor, maybe 2 other people. So if something goes down, we can ration out the food to keep our people alive. Water, where we're going to store the water. What about weapons in case of some sort of a violent civil incident? Where are all the guns and ammunition going to be kept so we can defend our elders and children? I'm serious, y'all. White folks are meeting every month all over the country. Please get serious about disaster preparedness. You need you a crank radio because the electricity won't be working. How do you crank it up? Do we have enough of the, what do they call the things, generators? Do we have enough generators to go around? We need to start collecting money to buy enough generators so the homes that we congregate in will have at least 1 generator. This is important, y'all. What if we got to evacuate Antioch? Where's the high point of the city? Where's the low point of the city? What's the best exit routes out? We got to have a meeting with our retired military men and women so they can teach us what the military taught them about disaster preparedness and weapons management. Come on, y'all. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You think Bill Gates is building an underground bunker for nothing? You think Mark Zuckerberg is building an underground tunnel for nothing? Well, he's gonna need one because the next time he suspend my Instagram account. Shut up! Shut up! But brothers and sisters, if you ever need help with your children, you have my number. There's also something I want y'all to know. I do not charge to speak without vulnerable populations. If you work at a homeless shelter, halfway house, recovery center, if you work with abused women or juvenile so-called delinquents, you work with HIV/AIDS survivors, any special population that you work with, and you need somebody to come in and give them a motivational, encouraging word separate from my political message, I do that. All you have to do is fly me in, fly me out, but you don't have to pay me an honorarium for that. I give that from the heart. I want y'all to know that, okay? If you haven't been to Africa, I will be leading my 7th group trip this summer. We are going to Ghana, Gambia, and Senegal. The trip is going to cost approximately $4,500. 14 days, 14 nights, everything is included except your spending money, and 1 meal per day will be on you. The other 2 meals, you already paid for that. All your admissions, all your hotels, all your transfers, all your flights, everything else is covered. The last week of July, first week of August, we fly. 1 day to fly to Africa, last day to fly back to America, 4 nights in Senegal, 4 nights in Gambia, 4 nights in Ghana. We're going to go to Jufre Island in the Gambia, where Alex Haley's ancestors came from that inspired the movie Roots. You're going to go see it. We're going to go to the Kente Cloth Museum in Ghana, the Wood Carving Museum in Ghana. We're going to go to the African Bead Factory in Ghana. You're going to participate in a traditional African naming ceremony, and you're going to get a real African name from a real African chief. You're going to go into the Cape Coast Castle slave dungeon, and you're going to go into the Elmina slave dungeon, and you're going to go into the Goree Island slave dungeon. You're going to take boat rides and bike rides and eat African food and get your African clothes made and so forth and so on. So if you've never been to Africa, consider going with Dr. Umar. My trip is a younger trip, meaning most of the attendees are between 30 and 50. But elders, you're more than welcome to come. Children are more than welcome to come. If the child is 2 years old or younger, you may not have to pay a separate fee, but they got to sit on your lap that whole 12-hour flight. Are you sure you want that? Because you're going to be PP'd on. But if you've never been to Africa, you need to get there, whether you go with me or go with somebody else. But of course, my trip is the funnest because it's my trip. We're gonna go to the nightclub, and for those of y'all who smoke weed, you're gonna get some of that real African bush weed. Put your ass to sleep. There's only one rule. One rule. Whatever happens in Africa, stays in Africa. Hey. Brothers and sisters, as I close,